Hari Om. Let us chant the first 10 verses of chapter 10. Shri Bhagavanuvacha Bhuya eva mahabaho Shrinu me paramam vachaha Yatteham priyamanaya Vakshyami hitakamyaya Name vidhu suraganaha Prabhavam Shramaharshaya Ahamadir Hidevanam Maharshinam cha Satpashaha Yo Mamajamanadim cha Vetti Lokamaheshwaram Asambhudha Samatyeshu Sarva papai pramuchyate Buddhir jnanam asammoha Kshama satyam dhamma shamaha Sukham dukkham bhavo bhavaha Bhayam cha bhayameva cha Ahimsa samata tushtihi Tapodanam yasho yashaha Bhavanti bhava bhutanam Mathayeva prithak vidhaha Maharshaya saptapude Chatvaro manapastatha Madhava manasa jataha Yesham lokahima prajaha Yetam vibhutim yogam cha Mama yo veti tatpataha So vikampena yogena Yujyate natra samshayaha Aham sarvasya prabhavaha Matta sarvam pravartate Iti matva bhajante mam Buddha bhava samantitaha Macchitta madgata pranaha Bodhayanta parasparam Kathayantascha mam nityam Tushyanti cha ramanti cha Tesham satata yuktanam Bhajatam priti purvakam Dadami buddhi yogam tam Enamamupayanti te
Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryan Karavavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma Vishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Yes, Ram Subramanian. Yeah.
Thank you. Good morning, sir.
Yes.
So about verse 26, chapter 9. So it is more to do with Q&A and an explanation that you provided, sir. So it's a long question. I'll just maybe take 2 minutes to explain that. So it starts off with who is receiving the offering, right? So with Vishnu, it is Tulasi. With Shiva, it is Vilvam or people. then Krishna, it says the leaf doesn't matter. You can give it to striving self. I will take it. I will give you moksha, right? So
Yes.
it starts off with who is the recipient of the devout offering.
Yes.
So in the Q&A, there was a question about hatred between two people, and then you gave an answer saying you keep on giving flowers, right?
Yes.
So my question, sir, is around. See, Krishna wouldn't, for example, with Duryodhana, they
Yeah.
asked for 5 villages for 5 Pandavas. Then they asked for Osi Munai Nilamada Kudaka Solid, he asked, right? And after all that, then they decide for war. So Krishna wouldn't ask Arjuna to give flowers to Duryodhana, right? They decide to do war at a point in time. So
Yes.
so the person on opposite side, whether it is God and who is receiving the patram or pushpam with the devout mind, or with the devout striving self, right? Or
Yes.
whether it is a person like Duryodhana who has got hatred for the person who is giving offering. No, my understanding is that it still matters. So, for example, if I keep on giving flowers and that person keeps on crushing it, right, under his or her foot, right, then so it may become. What you explained the last time I got it, but then I'm asking. So doesn't the quality of the recipient also matter, right? So why should I keep on giving flowers to somebody who keeps on crushing it, right? So that is the question, sir. Yeah. Thank you.
2 questions. So Ram Subramanian is asking 2 questions. I'll repeat the question, Ram Subramanian. I myself didn't understand what he's saying. One question that he's asking is where you have in one of the clarifications to some question about hatred. I said as an example, as an example, I said people. There are various ways in which people get out of their hatred, offering flowers, something like that, I said. Now Ram Subramanian is saying, okay, you give, you want to mend, you have hatred and you want to mend. And if the other is not, receiving it in the way it ought to be received, you go and give a flower, and the flower and the guy takes the flower and crushes it under the feet. What is the point of giving flower to that person? Meaning, when you are giving, isn't it the quality of the recipient also important? Ram Subramanian, correct? Huh?
Yes, sir. Thank you. Yes.
That is one question. In verse number 26, chapter 9, we are talking about a devotee offering to God.
Yes.
One Manushya to another Manushya, we are not discussing here. We are not discussing what one person is giving to another person. We are discussing Patram Pushpam Balam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati. That is verse number 26. So there he says, we should offer it only to, it is about the devout offering to God. Distinct and different from that is a human relation. In a human relation, is hatred because of the quality of the other, or is hatred because you not able to accept it or you think it is wrong? Hatred is because of what? Is hatred because of the quality of the other, or you are thinking that it is wrong? What causes hatred?
Okay. So it is with the person who is having those emotions in the mind, right? So, yeah.
So therefore, you are right. It is always in relation to hatred is not because of the quality of the other. Hatred is because of my understanding that it shouldn't be there. My understanding that it is wrong. You follow? Distinct and different from that is, now here, okay, in this case, where the quality of the other is going to be that way, what is it that I should do? Here, we are not talking about the quality of the other. We are talking about hatred as a quality inside of you, what it does. Are you able to follow? hatred as a quality inside of you, what it will do to you? It hurts you. Therefore, since it is hurting you from proceeding in your path, get rid of hatred. And there are very many ways to get rid of hatred. Okay. As you are trying to do that, and if the other is not reciprocating properly, whatever we understand as an appropriate response, what is it that we have to do? What is it that we have to do? As long as you have hatred in you, irrespective of the response of the other, you keep continuing to do it. Because here the point is not about correcting the other. Here the point is not about having a good relationship with the other. Here we are discussing how you should be rid of the dvesha. Are you able to follow?
Yes, sir.
The last method is danda. Samadhana Veda Danda. Krishna attempted all methods. When nothing worked out, he went to the danda. He didn't straight away agree for war. Are you able to follow? He didn't straight away agree for war. When all other methods have failed, a superior intellect has decided war is the solution, not the parties involved. Are you able to follow? Remember that. A superior intellect has decided that it is not a petty war where it is not a petty war that Kauravas and Pandavas were fighting and Krishna was helplessly drawn into that battle. Otherwise, two fellows fighting, Krishna becomes a party to the battle. No, here it is not that. In the case of Mahabharata battle, after trying all methods, the superior intellect decided war is the method. And even when he said war is the method, how is he using the war? How is he treating the war? Again, he is not treating the war. Again, he is not using the war to settle accounts between. He is not using the war to settle accounts between the two. What is he doing? He is using it for Arjuna's growth. Are you able to follow? Even though the war is inevitable, Krishna is not using the war to settle scores between. He is not trying to settle the scores between them. What is he trying to do? He is using the battle for Arjuna's growth only. So even here, the situation of war is used by a higher intellect for the growth. Are you able to follow? That is why this reference is out of context here. The reference of Krishna, why Krishna didn't tell Arjuna to do that. Krishna told Arjuna, but nobody listened. He told Duryodhana, don't fight. He told the Pandavas, don't fight. But nobody listened. Is it okay, Ram Subramanian?
Yes, sir. So why I related that to verse 26 is because it came in the Q&A following that verse. So that way, right? So, and my other, just one more quick question, sir. So this is helpful. No,
Yes.
So you talked about Samadhana, Veda Dandam, and so on, right? Finally, they go for war. So
Yes.
is it as at a mere mortal level, at a human level,
Yes.
instead of getting flowers crushed on a regular basis, is it not also okay to maintain a distance and to dissociate? Sir, like, okay, where there is maybe friction or, see, that person may have hurt me, whatever it is, Duryodhana may have hurt Arjuna,
Yes.
and then they end up fighting battle, Krishna is on side of Pandavas and all that, right? I do not have, say for example, I do not have weapons with me, I do not, whatever it is, I do not want to get into war. What if I just decide to maintain a distance instead of getting flowers crushed on a regular basis? Is that also not a good response?
The clarification that he is asking is, instead of going and positively doing something to get out of hatred, why can't I simply maintain a distance? Correct?
Yes, sir.
Why can't I simply maintain distance and not associate at all?
Yes.
Now, Ram Subramanian, hatred means you are already having a mental association. The association has already happened very strongly. We don't have the possibility of not associating at all now. Because dvesha means an intense Raga is an intense mental association. Dvesha is again an intense mental association. Association has already happened. I may not talk to the person. I may not send a WhatsApp message to the person. But a lot of inner conversations I'm having, no. Isn't it? Lot of inner conversations I'm having inside, no. Therefore, relationship has already, there is a strong relationship that is already established in the form of hatred. So, maintaining a distance per se, if it can help, that is the easiest solution, maintain a distance. But the problem is, there will be a physical distance you will maintain. There physical distance you will maintain, but the seed is there in you already. The seed is there in you already, and it is building up momentum in you already. So at any point of time, it can burst out. And when it bursts out, it will be it's a very ugly burst out for your own growth. I'm not talking in terms of relationships and all that. You follow? Therefore, since there dvesha is one form of relationship, raga is another form of relationship. Understand it. If you understand this, answer is very clear. Are you able to follow? Raga is one form of association. I desperately want to have it is one kind of mental association. I desperately want to get rid of it is another kind of mental association. But both are related to the mind, internal you, unconnected to the other. Of these two, what hurts you more? What hurts you more? The dvesha hurts you more. Correct?
Yes.
How do you say that dvesha hurts you more? Somebody has helped you. How many times you can say thank you? 2 times, 3 times maximum. And then you say, yeah, I have done my. Somebody has hurt you. 50 years later also you can get the same anger. Are you able to understand? It means what is more dangerous in these two associations? Is it raga or dvesha?
Dvesha.
Dvesha. Raga is difficult. Dvesha is much more difficult. Therefore, what are we saying here? Don't have any dvesha. In the 12th chapter, he is going to say that. Adveshta sarva bhutanam. Who is made? How should I worship you, Arjuna? Sorry, how should I worship you, Krishna? With form or without form? Chapter 7 and chapter 9, you have told me with form. Sorry, without form. Chapter 10 and 11, you are telling me with form. Again, I repeat. In chapter 7 and 9, you told me without form. In chapter 10 and 11, you are going to tell me with form. Now, how should I worship you? With form or without form? It says forget with form or without form. Have these 35 qualities. Forget the with form, forget the without form. As long as you are having those 35 qualities, you become my devotee. And in that very first quality, when we go there, we will see it in detail. The psychology of hatred and all, we will see there. Dvesha, adveshta sarva bhutanam. A person who doesn't have hatred towards any species, any being. Yeah. You can't have a hatred towards the pest. You can't have a hatred towards the mosquito. You can't have a hatred towards the pigeon if you are living in a 40-floor apartments. The most hated thing is the pigeon, because they come and occupy the house, and and looks like they don't even clean up the house. You build your house and they will come and sit, and you have to keep cleaning it also. Dvesha comes. Adveshta sarva bhutana. No dvesha towards all species. It's okay, Ram Subramanian?
Sir, thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes. Yes.
You said I have 2 questions. My first question is, what is his second question?
I didn't take up the second question at all because his second question is with reference to verse number 26, which he said he understood it rightly. So I didn't take up the second question at all. Ram Subramaniam, correct? No? Yes.
And with reference to Samadhana Prenadanda, who is supposed to use the danda? Always a higher intellect should use, or if there are two ignorant beings, they cannot use the danda. How should it be?
The question is, who's qualified to determine danda? Only the higher intellect, not the two warring people. The two warring people should always reconcile. Why? Understand this. In a war, both will lose. War means both will lose. Remember that. That is the psychology. In a war, there is no winner, there is no loser. In a war, all are losers. Nobody wins in a war. You understand that? See, they go to the court and fight. See, there is a fight between husband and wife in the court. Who is the winner? Who is the loser there? The person who put the case is winner. The person who lost the case is the loser. Who's the winner and who's the loser there? All are losers. If two countries goes into war, is there a winner and loser? Who's the winner and who's the loser there? That's why we don't talk about war at all, provided the war becomes an inevitable situation as decided by the higher intellect. At our level, war is not a, because our wars arise out of all our wars, you can call it war, you can call it fight, you can call it argument, any word you can use. I'm using all this synonymously. I'm not using war in the sense of nuclear weapons only. Army going and fighting. War means where there is argument, fight, friction, all this is war. Who's the winner and who's the loser in any war? Take the, how many times we have discussed, take the same Mahabharata war. 19th day proved all have lost. Is there a winner and the loser on the 19th day? There was a fight between Kauravas and the Pandavas. On the 19th day, what happened? All are sitting and crying because everybody lost. But sir, legally it is allowed, no sir. Legal battles are allowed, no. You can go to the court, legal battles are allowed, no. I forgot who said that. Legal battle is to save the cat, you lose an elephant. What are legal battles? What are court battles? You save the cat, but what is the price you have to pay to save the cat? At the most, you get the egoistic satisfaction. That's all. At the most, there is an ego. I have spoken to so many people who have won. And then a few years later, I say, what did you achieve? So foolish, sir. Here. Just the egoistic satisfaction that other than that, nothing happens. Why? Because war comes out of, war is always out of selfishness and self-centeredness. And no goodness can come out of selfishness and self-centeredness. Two selfish people are fighting, no goodness can come out of it, isn't it? Selfishness plus selfishness equals? Selfishness plus selfishness equals selfish square, isn't it? Mathematically. Selfishness plus, so if three selfish people get together, selfish plus selfish plus selfish, you 3 times. It goes on like that. Are you able to follow? Therefore, danda is not recommended at all. Shastras alone are given the power to determine the danda. Who has given the power to? It is the Shastras alone. Today, all this is just stories for us. It doesn't work at all. As I am talking, nobody will believe in it. Nobody is going to accept. I know that. Even here, nobody is going to accept. Shastras alone determines what danda is. Rest of us have to. Rest of us have to. Rest of us have to neutralize the ego. Rest of us have to neutralize the ego. That's all it is. There is no other. But sir, I tried and tried and tried, but it is not working. What do I do? By losing the elephant, you will come to know. Are you able to follow? The person says, I tried, sir, but it's not working. What do I do now? I have to fight it out only because everything has, all has said nothing. Now what do I do? You pay the price. You follow what I'm saying? Therefore, who determines danda? Not the two people who are in, not the two parties. They don't determine. Then who? I don't know what you call that in Hindi. Tamil la Katta Panchayat, they say, isn't it? Is there a word for that in Hindi? I don't know. You follow? Does that fellow decide? Does the Supreme Court decide? Venkat, idella இந்த ரெக்கார்டிங்லாம் போடாதீங்க யூடியூப்ல. Yeah, don't put all this in the YouTube. He's talking about against the Supreme Court now. இதெல்லாம் ஏதோ நம்ம பாட்டில் ஏதோ ஒரு ரூம்ல உட்காந்து 10 பேரோட டைம் பாஸ் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கிறோம். You don't want to get into all these things here. You follow what I'm saying? Who decides it? We don't decide. At our level, we only go for what? Reconciliation. Ram Subramaniam. 100 times you give flowers, and if the fellow crushes it, 101st time go and give the flower again. Get a better flower. Every time he crushes, you should get a better flower. Every time he crushes, get him a better flower. Because what is he crushing? He's not crushing the flower. When the flower is crushed, you feel the pain. What is that pain? When you give a flower, he is crushing the flower. Now, is the flower going through a pain? Who is going through a pain? You are the one. So what do you do next time? Give something better. But sir, others will take advantage, no? If I start doing it like this, others will take advantage. Others will do this. Others will do that. I cannot think of a better example than this. Million times we have read this, and I still, every time I say it, I get very inspired by it. Ramakrishna Paramahamsa was saving the scorpion. The scorpion was stinging. Who? Scorpion was stinging the person who is saving. The friend said, why don't we just drop it and maintain a distance? Because it is stinging, you know. Ramakrishna said, will you give a discourse to the scorpion and say, don't sting? Can you give a discourse to the scorpion and say, don't sting? You can give a discourse, but it is the scorpion is simply not capable of understanding it. If the scorpion is acting according to the swabhava of stinging, you being a wise person, why can't you act according to your swabhava? Can you understand the difference now? You being the wise person, why can't you act according to your swabhava? What is your swabhava? Ramakrishna says, nature of the scorpion is to sting. Nature of Ramakrishna is to save. Who will be the victor and who will be the loser in that? Let God decide that. Let God decide that. Who is the victor and who is the loser is not for you and me to say. Are you able to follow? See, what we should understand is this. If ignorance itself is so stubborn, unyielding, how much more strong wisdom has to be? You understand that? Badri, Pridhan. If ignorance is so stubborn, wisdom has to be much more stubborn. That's how it works. Are you able to follow? Ignorance is so stubborn, unyielding it is. And you think wisdom will yield? Actually, there's no wisdom at all there. That person is simply, yeah. That's why I always say, if ignorance is stubborn, wisdom is most. Bhagavad Gita, 700 verses. How stubborn Arjuna was. Who agreed finally? Who agreed finally? Even in the 18th chapter, he kept on asking the same question only. Who agreed finally? Nashto mohat smritir labda tat prasadan mayachyuta. Yeah. If ignorance can repeat it 100 times without getting tired, wisdom can repeat it 1,000,000 more times without getting tired. That is wisdom. Are you able to follow? Yeah. Summa tagline mari potu vechukoma. Yeah. Ignorance is stubborn, na? Wisdom is even more stubborn. If ignorance itself is not yielding, you think wisdom will yield for ignorance? What is wisdom? Wisdom has the capacity to make the ignorance yield. Remember that. Ignorance has that extraordinary ability. Ignorance has that extraordinary capacity to make the ignorant yield. It can run the marathon. Wisdom has this capacity to run the marathon with ignorance. Ultimately, what will get tired? Ignorance should not get tired. Huh? Ignorance will not get tired and give up. What will get tired and give up? Ignorance. Are you able to follow? Ignorance is stubborn. Wisdom is more stubborn. If you understand that, you will never have a conversation with a wise person after that. All that you will do is what? Take instructions and keep following. Why? Because whatever you say is not going to agree. Not only that, and he keeps on repeating it. He will repeating it. He will repeat it in the same way, in so many ways that you have no chance to yield. Accept. Is it okay? Are you okay? If ignorance is stubborn, wisdom is even more. Even it has to be. Here, the word stubborn, I'm using ignorance is stubborn in a negative sense. Wisdom is stubborn. Here the stubborn is in a positive sense. Ignorance knows to repeat the same thing. I don't like, I don't like, I don't like. It will not know anything else to say. Are you able to follow? Ignorance is like a broken tape recorder. It will simply keep saying, I don't like it. I don't like it. I want it. I don't want it. Either our ignorance doesn't know anything else to say. Are you able to follow? I repeat. What will ignorance say? Teju. Ignorance will only say this. I want it. I don't want it. I like it. I don't like it. It cannot say anything. It cannot say anything more than that. Knowledge, wisdom has this capacity to break the stubbornness of the ignorance. Knowledge has the capacity to break the stubbornness of the ignorance. Now, who decides? Are you able to understand the answer? Venkat. Saturday in the 10th chapter we are starting. No. So I'm just doing time pass. Venkat is getting restless. Sir, why are you talking this? No. Go to the verse or simply doing, why are you doing time pass with us today? No. Is it okay? Any other question is there? One more is there. What is the connection, Mala? What is the connection between Vali and our senses going out of control? You see the Vali in Ramayana. Correct. The Vali in Ramayana has a unique bone. We said that yesterday. Vali in Ramayana has a unique bone. What is the bone of Vali? You stand in front of Vali, he will take your powers. So you stand in front of the sense object, your strength is taken away. That is Vali. Able to follow? That's what I referred yesterday. That is answering the first question. What is the connection between Vali and our senses going out of control? The sight of it is so tempting, you lose your strength, you lose your control. So that is the power of Vali. So what Vali does, he will not fight and all. He will simply come, he will simply come and stand in front of you. All that Vali has to do is what? Simply come and stand in front of you. That all you will follow. He need not do anything. We have so many Valis that makes us fall all the time, isn't it? At least there, Sugriva had only one Vali. Here we have millions and millions of Valis around us all the time, isn't it? We pay and go also and fall and come back. Correct? We buy the ticket. We buy the ticket. We pay, we fall and we come back. What do we do here? So what is the connection? Vali, the sense objects, has this power. That's why very important is the sense control. Vashehi yashendriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. Vashehi yashendriyani tasya prajna pratishtita. And also we spoke about it yesterday. What is it? Whatever enters you, frisk and allow it to enter. That's all. Don't allow each and everything to enter you. Frisk. That's all it is important. But we don't do that. We simply allow. We simply allow and we go. Different languages we allow it to enter, isn't it? And different languages we allow it to enter. From English, we'll go to Hindi. From Hindi, we'll go to Korean serial. From Korean serial, we'll go to something else. Sir, I'm seeing Vedanta everywhere, sir. Bhagavad Gita, Mattu you see Vedanta, that is enough. You don't have to see Vedanta in Korean serial. You don't have to see Vedanta in Hindi movie. You don't have to see Vedanta in RR. Yeah. See Vedanta only in the Inga there is no Vedanta. Are you going to follow? Because it is so enticing. You stand in front of it, you fall. You follow? That's all. It doesn't have to do anything. All that it has to do is just come and stand in front, isn't it? Second question. Second question. Life keeps giving all combinations of the pairs of opposites. Correct. Life keeps giving all combinations of the pairs of opposite. Wrong. Life equals pairs of opposite. Giving to whom? All life equals pairs of opposites. Is it our karma vasana that makes us not filter the data and succumb to the pairs? Life is giving pairs of opposites. Right. Is it our karma vasana that makes us not filter the data and succumb to the pairs? Is the free will to influenced by our karma vasana? What makes one not to get influenced and the other succumb to the worldly pull? Is there anything beyond knowledge? Because knowledge itself can't reach a certain mind. Mahala is desperately trying to change somebody. I don't know who she is trying to change in her life. Yeah. Somebody she is trying to correct in her life. And that person, whoever she is trying to correct, he is not getting corrected. So, is there anything beyond knowledge? Because knowledge itself can't reach the mind. I'm not sympathizing with Mala. I'm sympathizing with the person who she is trying to correct. Wow. That person has to be sympathized. Not if at all we have to pray for that person, not her. Mala. Nothing in the valley. Okay. Now coming back to this is the main question. I have answered her main question. Now coming back to the words of the question. Yeah, what is the words of the question? Ganesh, when you answer, you have to answer both. You have to answer the word of the question also, and also you have to answer what she is asking also. So what she is asking is answer. And the answer we will not go in detail. In 10 seconds, 20 seconds, that answer is finished. Now we will answer the word, because knowledge comes through the word. Knowledge comes through the word. There is no other way knowledge can be communicated. So what is her question? The question is, what makes a few succumb and the rest not? What makes somebody succumb and someone else not succumb? The difference is tapas. There is this beautiful word tapas. For a person who has done tapas, the world will succumb. Hrishchate Lakshmiischa Patniyau, Purusha Sukta. For the person who has done tapas, the world will succumb. For the person who has not done tapas, that person will succumb. What is tapas? That's a separate discussion. We are not discussing, I'm not entering into that. Is our past so strong? When what she meant, she is using the word karma vasana, karma vasana. What is karma vasana? The past is so strong that how much ever the person is trying to control, it seems to be not working. Does it mean our self-effort is influenced? Are you able to follow? Does it mean the past is so strong that how much ever effort I make in the present, it turns futile? That's the question. Mala, correct? Huh? That's the question. For which the answer is, it depends on the intensity of the past. The intensity of the past in relation to the intensity of the effort. The intensity of the past versus the intensity of the present. Are you able to follow? We have completely, mind forgets completely the past. But then it is stored as impressions and it keeps coming back. It doesn't leave, it keeps coming back. And what the mind remembers? What the mind remembers? That one or two good things it has done, it remembers. That one or two good things it has done, it will remember. And that one or two good things it does, it expects the entire past to get wiped out. It doesn't work like that. So self-effort means you keep doing the right thing in the present. If the self-effort in the present isn't bringing any change, what do you understand? It's not the knowledge isn't working. The intensity of the disease is so strong, medication is required for a longer period of time. You don't say medicine doesn't work. Medication works, but intensity of the disease is so strong that it has to be used for a longer period of time. Mind, which is irritated by the medication for a longer period of time, comes and says, it is not working. Are you able to follow? It's not working. It's not working. Medication works according to the intensity of the disease. And we have said this in some other context in the past, if you remember. Some disease required few days medication. Some disease requires a few weeks medication. Some disease requires lifetime medication. Again, I repeat, some disease requires lifetime medication. Some disease requires a few weeks medication. Some disease requires a few days medication. The intensity of the disease, if it is so strong, it requires a lifetime medication. And when you take medication, don't be ungrateful to the medicine. That's why it's not working. You take medication, be grateful to the medication and take. When you take medication, you be grateful to the medication and take. That is why we have a God for medication also, no? We have a God. What is the name of that God? Doctor gives medication, but God has to bless you so that your body absorbs that medication. And there is a God for that also, isn't it? We have a beautiful God for that. The name of that God is? Anybody knows? What type of? Anybody knows the name of that God? Dhanvantri. Correct. Very correct. And they keep repeating that mantra. And they keep repeating that. They keep repeating that mantra. You follow? Even when you are taking the medication, you don't curse. See, even when you are taking the medication, you are so irritated about the medication. We curse the medication. We are not grateful to it. I have not seen anybody taking medication saying, remembering Dhanvantri. They curse the doctors, they curse the person, they curse everything. How will medication work? You follow what I am saying? Dhanvantaraye Amrita Kalasa Kastaya Sarvamaya Vinashaya Trailokya Nathaya. They keep repeating it. I also repeat it. I don't know why, but I keep repeating all this. You do it. Therefore, the intensity of the medication, the longevity of the medication is dependent on the intensity of the disease. Remember this. The longevity of the medication is dependent on the intensity of the disease. And what is the fundamental root of the disease? What is the fundamental root? Ignorance is the root. Again, I repeat, what is the fundamental root of all diseases? There's only one disease. What is that disease? Ignorance. If ignorance is the disease, knowledge alone becomes the solution. Is there any other thing other than knowledge? No. There is no other thing other than knowledge. But by mistake, I use the word but. It is ignorant, it is knowledge that takes care of the ignorance. And to receive knowledge, you need certain preparatory practices. That is relevant. Again, I repeat, to receive knowledge, you need certain preparatory practices. What are those preparatory practices that is required to gain knowledge? Atma Bodha, verse number 1. Atma Bodha, verse number 1, Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampat talks about the preparatory qualifications that is needed to gain knowledge. So what do you do if knowledge is not getting absorbed? Vijay, if knowledge is not getting absorbed, go back to the preparatory qualifications. Don't go to another extra lecture. Don't go to another extra book. It will not work. That's what people are doing today. People are doing that because they think one more lecture, one more book. It is not one more lecture. It is not one more book. If the knowledge that you are gaining is not getting absorbed, where you should go back to? Go back to verse number 1, Atma Bodha, Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampat. Practice that. Vivekam, Vairagyam, Shama, Dhamma, Titiksha, Swadhyaya, Bhaketale. We don't want to do any of that, isn't it? All these words only we don't like to hear. We don't like to hear the word Titiksha. We don't like to hear the word Vairagya. We don't like to hear the word Mumukshatva. But we like to hear the word meditation. isn't it? Like why? Because there you don't have their sadhana chatushtaya sampatandal is not required. All that you have to do is what? Close your eyes and sit. For that, you don't need training because 50% of our life we are doing that anyway, isn't it? தூங்குறதுக்குலாம் ஒரு training வேணுமா? Isn't it? You don't need training to sleep, no, because 50% of your life is what we are doing. Okay, not we do at least 40%. We are doing that, no. Are you able to follow? Therefore, if knowledge is not working, what is lacking? What is lacking? Sadhana chatushtaya sampatti is lacking because knowledge is not getting absorbed. People come and ask, I have heard so many talks, I have heard so many lectures, I have read so many books, nothing is working. Another person will come and say, I have done all pilgrimages tour, nothing is helping. Another person will come and say, what all service that is possible, I have done. That is also not working. Why? Because it's not getting absorbed. So knowledge is the solution. For knowledge to happen, you need certain preparatory practices. In Vedanta, we place a lot of emphasis on the preparatory practices always. All the teaching is to give a conviction on the preparatory practices. All the teaching is not to convince about Brahman God, because that cannot be convinced. All the knowledge is only to give you a conviction so that you go back to the preparatory practices. Pratasmarami hridi samspurada atmatattvam satchit sukham paramaham Rakim Duriyam Yat Swapna Jagra Sushuptama Veti Nityam Tad Brahma Nishkalamaha Achabhuta Sangaha. Then Artha Mantra. Then Bodhonya Sadhane Yogi Sakshan Mokshaika Sadhanama. There is one thing in between, no? There he talks Atmabodha. There he talks about this sadhana chatushtaya. Remember that. You follow? If sadhana chatushtaya sampat you don't remember, that is too much. We say, no, sir, that and all looks very elementary. I am a very great person. I don't need such preparatory practices and all. Come to 17th chapter. He will make it more tougher. Sattvic tapas, Rajasic tapas, Tamasic tapas. There he is going to talk about Sharira tapas, Vak tapas, Manas tapas. All that he is going to talk about in 17th chapter. When you come there, he will say, no, 18th chapter, he will say something. And then in 18th chapter, he will say, I have told you all that I can, all that I have to tell you, I have told you. Now you do. Now you do what you like. And what you should like by now, what you should be liking by now, going back to sadhana chatushtaya sampatti. That you should like it now. You should be looking forward to taking medications. You will be looking forward to that. Why? Because that's what is saving you. If you think medication is killing you, know what to do. Are you able to follow? The problem today is, not only today, always. I always will think, why God for absorbing the medicines? Doctor as a God is okay. Why there is another God to make sure that the medicines that you take in absorbs? Why that God? Because everybody thinks medicine is killing them. Everybody is thinking medicine is to save their lives. Therefore, very ungrateful way of doing that. Vasanthi, I don't take medicines at all, sir. do Dhanvantri 1,000 times a day. Punishment. I don't take medicine, no, do Dhanvantri 1,000 times a day. You follow what I'm saying? Verse number, sorry, chapter 10. Chapter 10. Yes, there is one more clarification. Please ask, please keep us engaged till 9 o'clock.
If you sow mango seed, you will get mango tree.
Yes.
But in Sadhyaya Jnana Yajna, you are sowing ignorance and you are getting knowledge. How is it happening?
Question that she is asking is, if you sow mango seed, you get mango tree. Correct. Law of causation. Cause and effect is very, very clear. Second, in gaining knowledge,
when you
sow ignorance, you are getting knowledge. How is it? From where you got this idea that you are sowing ignorance? When you sow ignorance, you reap ignorance. It is impossible where you sow ignorance and you reap knowledge. Then what is Swadhyaya doing? What is Swadhyaya doing? In Swadhyaya, you are sowing the seed of knowledge. You don't sow ignorance. In Swadhyaya, you are sowing the seed of knowledge. Swadhyaya. Adhyaya means repetition. The word adhyaya means repetition. That's why they say Veda Adhyayana, they say. Repetition. Level number 1 is repetition. Level number 1 is repetition. Why? Because if you have repeated it so many times and you keep repeating it every day, you don't repeat it for 5 years and then close it. You close it. 6 months later, you have to start all over again, isn't it? Isn't it? So difficult is to learn this thing. Previously, it used to be there. I don't know whether it is there or not. I just went for 10 minutes in all those classes. I couldn't survive those classes. Shorthand, isn't it? How much of effort a person has to put to learn that language. It's a language. It's a language. It's a new language. How much of effort the person puts to get that? 6 months you don't practice, what happens? 6 months you don't practice, you lose it. So adhyayana, adhyaya means it has to be done every day. If you don't do it every day, you will forget it. And what are the ways of doing it every day? First is by heart at least, memorize at least. Second, what you have memorized, know the meaning. Because memory will not bring about a transformation. It is conviction that will bring about a transformation. So, Swadhyaya is a practice of analysis. Swadhyaya is a practice of analysis. In that analysis, information turns into a conviction. Are you okay till now? Mind will listen only when it is a conviction. Mind will obey where there is a conviction. Mind will not obey where there is a strong memory. Mind obeys, mind becomes obedient, mind behaves only where there is a conviction, not just memory. Swadhyaya is a practice of reflection, manana. What is manana here? The process of listening, studying, discussing. Swadhyaya has 3 components. The 3 components of Swadhyaya is listening, Second component of Swadhyaya is studying. The third component of Swadhyaya is discussing. When all these three practices are done, what happens? You get to knowledge. The information that you have turns into a conviction. And once that is turned into a conviction, mind starts listening. You follow? More of the three, all the three has to be done. Swadhyaya means these three disciplines. What are the three disciplines? Listening, studying, discussing. Listening, studying, discussing. Listening, studying, discussing. Listening we do. To some extent, studying also we do. Discussion doesn't happen at all. Only lectures happen. Only discourses happens. You follow? Swadhyaya is these three disciplines. And when you follow these three disciplines of listening, studying, discussing, listening, studying, discussing, your knowledge is you are getting grounded in the knowledge. And when you get grounded in the knowledge, the mind starts obeying. What is obeying them? What is obedience means? What does obedience means? You say get up, it will get up. You say sit down, it will sit down. You say eat, it will eat. You say fast, it will fast. If you say enjoy, it will enjoy. If you say move away, it will move away. This is obedience. This is obedience. This obedience is a preparation for gaining knowledge. This mental obedience is required for gaining knowledge. And what is the knowledge? Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya. Brahma Satyam, that is the knowledge. Brahma Satyam, Jagat Mithya, Jivo Brahmaiva Aparaha. All that you see here is Sutre Manigana Iva. All that you see is here is, you don't have to say clay pot, clay pot, clay pot. You see the pot and you understand the clay. You don't have to say gold, gold, gold. You see the ornament, you understand the gold. You see the visible, you understand the invisible. Invisible is first spoken in chapter 7 and 9. Since the invisible is difficult to comprehend, he breaks it down to the visible in 10 and 11. Everybody follow? I'm using this chapter itself to explain how reflection happens. So first in chapter 7 and chapter 9, he spoke about the invisible. What is the invisible that he spoke in chapter 7 and chapter 9? Some of the verses, if you remember. If you go to chapter 7, verses 8, 9, 10, 11 and all, he says, Rasoham Apsu Kaunteya, I am this appetite, I am the sweet fragrance, I am this and all that he said. And then when we concluded that, I said, don't worry, he's just testing you. In chapter 10, he's going to give 75 items. And when he gives the 75 items, he's taking the entire creation from the inert object to the highest quality being. He will take from the inert object to the minerals, to the plants, to the season, to the human beings, to the rishis, to devas. So he goes from, he takes the entire creation from the lowest to the highest and he says, I am this, I am this, I am this. This is knowledge. What is knowledge? What is knowledge? In Vedantic sense, we are talking. What is knowledge? Seasons, I am this. Minerals, I am this. Plant, I am this. animals, I am this. That's why amongst the animals, I am this, he will say. I am the birds, I am this. Amongst the fishes, I am this. Amongst the human beings, I am this. Amongst the rishis, sages, Muninaham, Vyasaha, he will say. Amongst the Pandavas, amongst the Vrishnis, he goes into everything. Are you able to follow? What is knowledge here? In order to come to this point of understanding, Swadhyaya is a method. You follow? When knowledge comes in, darkness disappears. Follow? Atmabodha example. Even before the sun comes in, the dawn itself is enough to. The dawn itself takes care of the ignorance. Sun is going to come little bit later only, but the dawn itself is enough. Further, we should have seen what is dawn, no? The dawn itself is, you can, almost you can read a book, they say. You can read a book in that light. You can read a book. Sun is going to come much later, but dawn itself is. Are you able to follow? So, Swadhyaya is a practice where the ignorance is getting burnt out by giving in. Ignorance is getting burnt out in the presence of knowledge. Light dispels darkness. Are you able to follow? Are you able to understand?
It is not sowing.
It is not sowing and reaping. It is not like mango seed and mango tree. It is a practice. I don't know where it is said that you sow ignorance, you reap knowledge. I don't know where it is. You follow? Mala, are you okay?
Sir, one more question. Yesterday you spoke about the sensory control that is required fundamentally to achieve the mind control.
Yes.
We see programs in the TV or stories where the so-called siddhas in Tiruvannamalai or etc. in any place, they drink tea. Some of them are even called bidi siddhas.
Yes,
they
correct.
take bidi, etc. So then how to understand this? The bidi, tea or dirty clothes, etc. are obviously, it looks like a sense out of going control.
Yeah.
But if they are siddhas, and why will they go take bidi or tea or wear dirty clothes? Or I'm just unable to understand.
Yeah, you have answered it already in the beginning. People spin stories about all this. It's a story. People spin stories. That's all. You follow? People spin stories, and what makes these people so appealing to the vast majority? These people believe that they have some mystical powers, and with those mystical powers, your problems get sorted out. Are they interested in the siddhas? No one is interested in the siddhas. Are you able to follow? No one is interested in them. What are the interests? They think these guys have some mystical powers, and with those mystical powers,
their problem should be solved.
The problems will be solved. All that he has to do is what? He has to look at you, your problems will get sorted out. He has to touch you, your problems will get sorted out. Vedanta comes and says, these things don't. It is against the law. It is against the law. What is the law? Against the law of karma. It's against the dharma. It's against karma means dharma. Are you able to follow? It is against law of dharma. instead of using the word law of karma, since we are so conditioned by these things, because we have stopped seeing karma as God, we are not able to understand law of karma, law as God. We have developed a very weird notion of God. What is a weird notion of God that we have developed? You violate the law and God will protect you from violations. From where we got this idea of God, God only knows, but all of us have this idea about God. Because of this notion of God, the entire religion has become in fact, there is no religion at all. Why? Because people believe all that you need to do is what? I have confessed, sir. So, I have a disease. Okay, what the confession will do? Does it help in any way? Or I go to God and God is being so merciful. God is compassionate. From where we got an idea God is merciful, compassionate and all? We don't know, but because if you look at the world around, God doesn't seem to have any compassion or mercy at all, isn't it? There's no mercy, there's no compassion. We have developed a very weird notion of God. What is the notion of God that we have developed? I can violate the law, I can be adharmic, and God will protect me. Because God is compassionate. Mother, no, sir. God is mother, no. Tayar, no, she is. Goddess, no, she is. Like the mother, forgive. Any sinning children the mother is forgiving, is the mother doing any benefit to the children? Is the mother doing any benefit to the child? Ask yourself this question. I'm not asking, it's a rhetoric question. I'm not asking for a reply. It's a rhetoric question. See, somebody commits a crime, you should be forgiving, you should be compassionate. What happens to that person? What happens to that person? Should give them a chance to grow. God gives everybody chances to grow. God doesn't punish immediately. God starts step by step, God goes. Opportunity after opportunity, it comes, he keeps giving. God keeps giving, but we don't make use of it. Since we have developed a wrong understanding about God itself, what is the wrong understanding that we have developed about God? I can violate the law, I can violate the dharma. Out of compassion, I will be protected. And who has told me that? My grandmother told me that. My grandfather told me that. Ramanand Sagar in TV serial taught you that. He's making money there. What is he teaching you? He taught me in the television serial. He taught me in the movie. He taught me. Are they all teaching? You follow? What is the right understanding of God? The right understanding of God is law, dharma. God, law, dharma are all synonyms. That day the human being develops a maturity to understand all this together, that person instantly turns religious. That day the person can understand these three together. All are synonyms. But then the misunderstanding is what? Anybody who has got a power can help me to overcome my problem. Using that power, I can get rid of my problem. Okay, that person uses the power and frees you from all the past sins. What will the person go and do? What will the person go and do? Start all over again. Why? Because the seed is inside, and that seed inside cannot be taken away by anybody. You have to do it by yourself. The seed inside cannot be removed by anybody. But what do we believe? Somebody can come and remove that seed also. That is why we have a fascination for all this mystical powers, great men, God men, people say, no? God person. Huh? Why say God man? You can say God woman also, no? So just to be neutral gender, you can say God person. Why only God person? Everything becomes God. Are you able to follow? Therefore, all these are stories given by whom? See, anything that violates the law, people are attracted. Remember, it's a very cheap psychology. Very cheap psychology of the human mind is anybody obeys the law is not attractive. All violations are more attractive than obedience. Even the news that you read talks about what? The violations are always attractive. George Bernard Shaw's definition of news. Remember that. Beautiful definition. Dog bites a man. Who's interested? Man bites the dog. 50 cameras will be in front of that man's house, no? Are you able to follow? So, mind always has a fascination for what? For violations. And violation is negative in nature. Why mind always has a fascination for violations? It is constantly looking to violate. It is constantly looking to violate. Here comes dharma. As I am looking to violate, I cannot tolerate others violating. Is the dharma. As I am violating, I will want others to be. I want others to be obedient. When I violate the red signal and cross, it's legitimate. When somebody does it, are you able to follow? Why? Because mind is constantly looking to violate. Here adharma comes. What is adharma? Double standards. What are the double standards? Even a thief expects truth from the others. Correct? Even the liar expects others to speak the truth, no? How can you even understand the society? See, at least a liar should be expecting what? A liar should be expecting others to lie, isn't it? Even a liar expects others to speak the truth, isn't it? Why? Because violation is applicable only to me and others should not violate. This is ignorance. So, are you able to follow? What is the way out? Why these things are also attractive? This God person. Okay. Even amongst the temples, the temple is not known by the deity. The temple is known by what it can cure, no? You go to that temple, that will get cured. You go to this temple, this will get cured, isn't it? One. Second, God is also assessed by their wealth, no? So that temple, oh God, the deity must be very powerful there. Why? Because 108 Divya Desams, 100 are dilapidated, crumbling, isn't it? No, God doesn't have any power in those strength, in those temples. Huh? We don't understand. Are you able to follow? Therefore, all these becomes a news, YouTube, TV channels. You yourself will get interested. You yourself will search for all these things. Somebody will forward you, or sometimes you yourself will sit and search all these things. Why? Because mind has a natural affinity to negativities. In the 17th chapter, he calls them as tamasic worshippers. Even amongst the worshippers of God, he divides them into Sattvic, Rajasic, and Tamasic. He calls all these people as tamasic worshippers. But the whole world predominantly being tamasic, tamas becomes the standard. Since the whole world is predominantly tamasic, tamas appears to be the standard. You follow? With this, we conclude for today. Is there anything else we have?
Yes, Anshu has posted a question.
Anshu, what is your problem? Is contentment the same as happiness? In some context, the question is contentment the same as happiness? In some context, we will use it synonymously. In some context, we will use contentment as distinct and different from happiness and sorrow. The happiness, sorrow, contentment, all words has the linguistic opposites. Because all words has the potential for linguistic opposites, in some context, it will be the same. In some context, we will use it differently. So when we talk about contentment, predominantly we will talk about contentment as a state of no wanting. A state of contentment will be seen as a state of no wanting. Contentment will be seen as a state where what you have, if it cannot give happiness, how can anything new can give happiness? That is content. Again, I repeat, if at all you want to connect it like that. If what you have cannot give you happiness, what makes a person to believe that getting that will bring happiness? Or work backwards. What all I got now, I got it with the hope of this will give happiness, correct? What all I have now, I got it with the hope. As soon as I get it, what happens? The happiness goes. So what is contentment? Contentment is an understanding. What is understanding? If I do not know how to be content with the present, I can never be happy by getting something. Happiness is a search to fill the void. Contentment is no void. Again, happiness is a search to fill the void. In contentment, there is no void. But sir, if there is no void, then how we will grow in life? Because life we have to grow, no? How we will grow in life? Vedanta says, yes, definitely we need to grow. But define what is growth. Have a clarity on what you mean by growth. Because people have this, whenever we talk about contentment, people always connect to growth to discontentment. Because you can grow only if you are discontented. So what is the answer? Define growth. Sadhana Chatushtaya Sampat is the growth. Nitya Viveka Vicharam is the growth. Sir, if everybody keeps doing that, what will happen? Satya Yuga will come. What will happen? Satya Yuga will come. Everybody will be, by doing this, if I am happy, if everybody in the family does it, what will happen? Everybody in the family will be happy. If the whole society does it, the whole society will be happy. But sir, but we will still be going in bullock carts, no? We will be still chasing the animals, no? That connection is wrong. So, to answer the question, is contentment the same as happiness? Predominantly, we use both as different. I explained how we use it differently. In most of the context, we use it differently. In some context, it can be used synonymously also. Is it okay, Anshu?
Yes, sir. I was just struggling with the part where happiness is a search to fill the void and contentment is no void.
Yes.
So does it mean that both are the same?
No. In one, there is a void and you are trying to fill the void. In other, you recognize the void itself. The void itself is fill in the blanks. I didn't say it. Fill in the blanks. In one case, you try to fill the void. In the other case, you understand the void itself is imaginary. You understand void itself isn't there. You are chasing an imaginary void. Purnamada, Purnamidam, Purnat, Purnamudachyate, Purnasya, Purnamadhaya, Purnameva, Vasishyate. Isavasya Upanishad. When all invocatory prayer, when all Upanishad invocations has a prayer, Isavasya invocation only doesn't have a prayer. Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu is a prayer. Vak Pranas Chakshu Shrotamato Balamindriyani Cha Sarvani is a prayer. Purnamada Purnamidam is a statement of fact. But still we call that as an invocatory prayer. I don't know why they call it as an invocatory prayer. It should be part of the Upanishad only. Because that itself is part of the Upanishad. You follow what I am saying? And don't tell me you didn't tell this last week, sir, you cheated us, don't say. Yeah, don't say that. Very beautiful is this contentment. Contentment arises from Purnam. Happiness is a search for filling the void. A hope, happiness is a hope. Contentment is a reality. Understand it like that. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes.
With this, we conclude for today. We will not be meeting next Sunday. We will meet the following Sunday. We'll get into verse number 1 onwards. Incidentally, from this Saturday, in 5 days, we can get a glimpse of what chapter 10 is all about. We're going to get a glimpse of chapter 10 in 5 days. And then we'll have 1.5 years to study. And then we will study it in detail. So let us hear the glimpse and then we will come and start verse by